Welcome to the grim, lawless 23rd century, following the fall of U.S. Gov and mass depopulation of major cities at the hands of the multi-trillionaire de Huberton family. Baptized in radioactive hellfire, a rare mutation makes Turbo a fiercely pumped scrapper, haunted by specters from her past, surviving the post-apocalyptic wasteland one deathmatch pit fight at a time. But when she rescues the stunning trophy girl, the unlikely duo are thrust into a harrowing odyssey, evading marauding berserkers at every turn on their way to the ultimate showdown as they uncover the horrific truth behind the fall of humanity. Jake Jacobs, writer and penciler, and Kurt Brugel, co-writer and inker, are thrilled to announce the release of the first Turbo teaser, a significant milestone in the indie comic book industry. Jake and Kurt are the first and only duo to create a comic book live on air in a split-screen podcast. But that's not all. Recognizing the challenges and triumphs of indie comic creators, Kurt and Jake have another recurring segment of their podcast spotlighting other indie comic creators who share their stories, discuss their creative process, offer insights into audience building, and ponder the future of comics.
What's going on up there, Jake?
Hey man, seems like a long time, but it's only been 2 weeks, right?
It's 2 weeks, yeah. You had some stuff to do.
Well, a lot has happened. I did a Comic-Con in Queens.
You attended one, but you attended one. You didn't actually sit
I didn't
there
table. Well, funny story. I ended up pulling up a chair with somebody. Yeah, and so
so where did you go?
All right, so it was called the Women in Comics Conference.
Oh, wow.
That put this on, and I think they have done this before. I don't know how many years. They had a magazine that they put out that had a lot of women artists in it. It was kind of like an anthology. It was good quality stuff. I didn't buy a copy because it was kind of expensive. I think they wanted $20 for that. But I bought a lot of stuff I bought some stuff from the artists that were tabling. And I guess I can maybe go through that and that. Well, let me see.
Show and tell!
Oh my God. Well, this is the remainder from my my haul that we never got through. This is some stuff I got in Ithaca last week when I was visiting my daughter. And dude, I got to talk about the undergrounds because I can't even show the stuff. But you remember that that dealer that was up in Ithaca?
The record store?
Yep, it's called it's called Angry Mom Records. So they finally priced all the undergrounds and they put all this stuff up. I got this one, which you know pretty well. And,
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I think I could show you the covers from those,
yeah.
But that's not going to be suitable for all ages. So I'll put the. Oh, so question is, where's the stuff from? See how backed up I got? Oh, this was only 2 weeks, man. So this is the stuff from the con, and I gave out all my Turbo teasers, and I actually sold one to a lady that was like, "Are you selling those?" So I sold one to a lady for $3.
Nice.
Okay, so there's some people I want to try to meet and get on the pod here.
Okay.
Now this was just giveaways, free comic day, so they had like a baggie that anybody can take, and I know you're gonna moan and groan.
This is Marvel just, comics.
Just some Marvels, but this is as good as it gets with Marvel. They're best artists, and free comic day, which wasn't that day. They had just like held on to them. So when I walked in, I was kind of shocked because there wasn't even 10 tables there. It was
where
like
was this again?
It was in Flushing, Queens, and it was in this like community church center. It was this community center that had a gallery on the first floor, and they had like this exhibition of like I want to say water lilies and oil paintings, and it was all these different artists that had painted floral stuff and and kind of like flowery paintings. But I looked at some of the prices; they were asking $3,000, for these paintings. So I go upstairs, and they're doing the con, and you walk in, and at first I was like, "Oh man, I put aside the whole day for this, and there's only not even 10 tables here." But I started doing the tables, and I met these people. There was a guy and there was a male and a female there, if I can assume, and they were putting out. They had maybe like 4 or 5 of these. I picked up one for $5, um, and I spoke to them. They were super nice. They were the writers. There was no artist there, if I remember right. They were the writers, but there is some adult stuff in here, and so they have this completely indie operation, um, and they're hiring artists. Um, this art is done by Martin.
What is meant by adult? What is the concern for the material?
Yeah, I can't show you. It's like
There's nudity and
all
sex. Is that
yeah.
the adult part of it?
Well, right on this page there's a masturbation scene with explicit all in there stuff, and and then you get to the superhero stuff here. So it's just like yeah, it's kind of weird, There's not too many examples of that. You might think of like elementals, and you might think of Scimitar, from I think Eternity or Gauntlet. There's usually like adult comics won't be like superhero stuff, but this comic is. Um, the art looks pretty good, but my complaint about all comics nowadays is just how sparse everything is, right? How much
Yeah,
space there is, where
dashed
there's just
out.
yeah, and I think we're getting into the adult stuff. So anyway, these are totally nice people, and they're on the go. They're trying to make their way, and so they have a little company called um, Lawful Evil Comics, and I think these are the two people I met, Rashawn Rogers and Ashley Hurwitz. And I was asking them what kind of print runs you do and all that. So, it seems like most everybody is doing the print on demand. I
Yeah.
think they said they printed like 50 or 100. It's just like the thing when you get up to like, when should I print offset is the rule of thumb online is like 300 or more. Um, so then I met this Sanders. She didn't have a first name. I think she went by like, oh yeah, well, she goes by Y Sanders, and I spoke to her for quite a while. She's really talented, and I bought most, if not all, of her stuff. Here's a series that she did of Subway sketches, and she published it as like a zine. And this might have been like her earlier days when she was a student or something. It sounds like, commuting to school maybe. But this is completely done by her. And this is an anthology where she did one of the stories. And her name is Y Sanders, and I think we should have her on the pod. I'll see which one is hers. And this looks like a high quality thing. This was put together, I think she said this was put together by a musician who had some, I guess, money, to produce a comic, hired the artists, paid them, and this was hers right here. So it looks like pretty good storytelling, and this is like a whole thing about employees at Facebook who are in charge of um, taking off the really graphic content, and they like get kind of like subverted by it. I won't show you the shock ending, but that I think that was like an 8 pager. And here's her other one. This is a full color. Somebody else colored it, but she's a great artist. I asked her what her favorite genre is, and she said it was hard to answer for her, but she said psychological drama, which could be a lot of different genres. She has a pretty good storytelling style. It's kind of indie-ish. It reminds me of Tim Vigil, honestly. I asked her if she ever heard of Tim Vigil. It looks like it's on the way to being kind of like Tim Vigil-ish. But
It's very
yeah, kind of
manga
manga-ish.
influence.
Uh-huh. Um, and I won't show the last couple pages, but some horror here at the end, and she signed them. So that was pretty much it. I ran into a kid that goes to the High School of Art and Design for cartooning, and so I spoke to her and her mom for like a half an hour. They were just a coincidence. And there's also okay, so there's going to be a Comic-Con on April 13th. This is an outdoor Comic-Con. So I put this in my calendar because I'm going to take out a table there, and we'll do this con, weather permitting. And I found out that the former owner of St. Mark's Comics on St. Mark Street in Manhattan is now in Brooklyn. I didn't know that. And there's two different comic stores one in Brooklyn, one in Queens, that I need to go by. This is the artist Ainsley who puts together, who was telling me all about that con, and she does all this kind of zine stuff. So you know how it is at a con, you just get all these cards. But oh yeah, Anyone Comics and Everyone Comics. These are two comic stores in Brooklyn. One's in Brooklyn, one's in Queens. So I'm gonna go by there. I asked if they have any cheap boxes, and so that is my report on the Women in Comics conference. And somebody to connect with later on. Y Sanders, we'll try, and then I have that bookmark for April.
Okay.
So, should we draw or should I go? Oh, let me finish up my haul.
That's the way.
That's this one, and I won't do the Ithaca comics because I'll save that for next time. But if we could finish up the haul, and maybe there's something you see that you want me to do for comics that influence, if we ever get back to that. So yeah, these are comics that I got at the Comic-Con in Poughkeepsie, the new Mid-Hudson Comic-Con. Look at this! What the Liberator, the genocide in full effect.
In full effect.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like a power comic, but you turn it over and it's 1993. But a comic company I never heard of, IR. So you've got to look inside of there. Next, this is Hero Comics, The Champions. I guess that name isn't trademarked by Marvel.
The champions.
Hero Comics. This is not Bill Black, right? Hero Comics is no that big,
so.
but I know the first edition of
AC
Flair
Comics is Bill Black.
Right, but Flair came out under Hero Comics in the first edition. So this Marinan and Gordon, they have this kind of Kirby-ish style here. The Gods Reborn. I don't know if this is a total ripoff of Marvel, because the Champions in Marvel had Hercules, and this looks like very Hercules-ish, but also very Kirby-ish. If you look at the letters, if you look at the rocks, if you look at these shiny lines here, and then there's a plug for Flair on the back. So Hero Comics was the first destination for Flair. This was drawn by Rick Hoberg in 1988. So I guess we'll look in there. It looks like another, fans of Kirby. This is Bob Hickey's Blood and Roses. Anybody that's doing metallic, you got to think like sometimes it shows up at the right angle, but then at the wrong angle, it just looks brown. So think carefully. Maybe you want to outline, metallic. This is kind of like silverish. Blood and Roses is Bob Hickey's female duo here. I see Sky Comics, never heard of them. And I see Sacred Comics down here, never heard of them. I picked it up because it has these strong females. Looks interesting. The style on it looks, I don't know, fully colored, and I don't know why. This reminds me of the English stuff, but I'll check into that at some point. Here we have Mortar Man from Marshall Comics, and he's throwing a pie at this guy that looks like Bullethead, looks like Peacemaker, but who am I to judge? This is Dan Duncan, 1993. So the indie comic thing was still happening in 93. I'm not in love with the name Mortar Man. Maybe these pies are throwing are concrete. I don't know. Looks like this chick here has got the power of lightning, and she's having fun here on the back with the power of lightning. What is up with that? Some more hero comics here. We got the Marksman. This looks like, I don't know why this looks like Rudy Nebres to me. I don't know if it's him or not, but that's just a guess.
Feeling. Yeah.
So this is the Rose, which was one of the characters that appeared with the flare and the AC and all that. But this is before all that. This is Hero. So Rose is there, and then you got Flare on the back. So this is like Cheesecake Comics. Look at this. Night Vale Special #1,
nice.
AC Comics, with a cover by Kaluta. How about that? That's a name.
Somebody knew somebody.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like Kaluta's usual stuff. Night Vale has
just
this
an
cool
outline, and then they ink it and color.
Yeah. It. Well, his signature looks inked. But Night Vale has this cool cloak that has like space inside, so it like makes you think like you're going to it like an interdimensional portal. And I think Marvel took that idea. They have this character in the A-Force. I forget what her name is, but I think her whole body was like space. So maybe some sharing of ideas there. Here's a plug for Jungle Girls #1, which looks like some of those reprints. And then they add some new stories, and of course Femme Force featuring Night Vale. So this is just, I collect the AC comics. We've spoken about them many times. Here's New York Year Zero, and doesn't this remind you of Escape from New York right off the bat?
Oh yeah, so this sweet
issue #3. Look at the art inside.
Oh wow, that is really nice.
Really good. Yeah, wow. This might be.
Who's the artist? Who are the artists on that?
It says Juan Zanato, and the story is by Barrero. He's got one name like Cher. So it makes you wonder if this is brought over from Europe, because Juan Zanato sounds like it could be Spanish or Portuguese or something. And Eclipse was Kat Yaronwood, and this looks like great stuff. It looks like heavy metal quality stuff.
Yeah.
I got #3 and I got #4. And this cover looks a little bit better than this cover. Mark Johnson. I don't know if this is the extent of it. Really good black and white stuff in here. This is definitely worth a check. Look at this. Come on, man. And a lot of action in this. Well, we'll have to go over that sometime.
I put my money on Europe. That's a European.
Yeah. So here we got PAC. This, folks, is what not to do with Photoshop. So
that's old. That's old. That was when everybody was they just couldn't get enough. Well, they couldn't get enough of the image guys.
The art is one thing. We can talk about the art separately, but there's so many don'ts in this thing. So PAC stands for Preterhuman Assault Corps. And there's, this art looks like it could have been a cool power comic if it was just black and white, maybe with some gray tones. But they brought it into Photoshop and they completely overdid everything. And they made this classic mistake where you don't scan the line art on a separate plate. Folks, if you're gonna do Photoshop, scan the line art. 300 res minimum, but I usually do like 400 or 500 DPI. Then make that a separate plate, paste it onto the black channel in a CMYK document or a separate layer in a RGB document. Because what you see is then they start using the magic wand and you start losing your line art. And, this guy thinks he's impressing everybody with this glossy lighting effect on the yellow here, but it's way too much. And then he did it on the other side with the green, and it just like, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. This doesn't work. They're putting in filters and they're putting in effects, and this is just like overwhelming the senses. Look at this and look at this, and then this behind this, you have a font here that's stretched. They're just using some type fonts, and this could have been a great comic. I like, I don't hate the art as a power comic, or maybe even as like a an homage to Image. This is a wraparound cover. Could have been something here. Also, the thing is all bent up because somebody leaned a box on a box. Let's rip through these here. We got Mike. This is Palmiotti is credited here. So this is Eternity Comics, which and this is the new Humans, and it says this was in the X Mutants universe. This all these companies were swallowed up by Marvel, Malibu, Marvel. They had a lot of different kind of acquisitions, and it doesn't say anywhere the first name of the Palmiotti. Oh yeah, right here, inked by Jimmy Palmiotti. So folks, talking about humble beginnings, this inker right here went on to be the top guy, one of the top guys at Marvel, including the movies and the comics and everything. So, you can start out in indie comics and you can, there's nowhere you can't go. Here's another one of those
all
ABCs.
Up to you.
Yep. Here's another one of these ABCs I got from Fleetway Quality Comics. I showed a couple of these on the other broadcast. This is just a continuation. I got them because they had all this chrome, and I like to see these references on all these chrome characters. There looks like some interesting black and white artwork on the inside. This actually looks pretty good on the inside. I speculated that this came over from England and it was converted from magazine format, but I do like these insides. I like this inside better than the cover, and this is number 1. So I'm going to put all these together and maybe do a little thing on that at some point. This looks very Mobius influenced. I usually don't pick up Image, but I picked this one up because this just looks like it's a huge fan of Mobius.
Oh yeah,
and you can see here flapping through it that it's definitely just like a student of Mobius. So there's that. Here's Continuity. Now I get these because it's Neil Adams. Continuity comics are kind of crowded, for me. This is pencils Mike Diodato, inks Albert Sacchain. It's got a great style. This also reminds me a little bit of Nebres. But Continuity comics have a lot on the page. It's really, packed in here. And Miss Mystic, oh no, this is Samari. I like the lettering here. So these are always fun, especially if you can get them cheap. Samari has a penchant for getting into positions where you're always looking straight up her legs for some reason. But I got Samari number 3 and 4 here, and it's good. This was Continuity Comics was Neil Adams' studio, indie studio. They put out stuff for years and years. They had a great run. Here's the Peonies on Apple Comics. There's so many Elf Quests that I could have picked up, 2 for $1. So I only picked up a couple. I got this one because it's a number 1. Warp Graphics. This is probably, this is 86. It says right here. They had a lot of hand colored stuff. I think I really respect the Peonies, Wendy and Richard Peeney, even though the ElfQuest isn't my favorite, universe. But you gotta really respect what they've been able to accomplish. And here's John Byrne. Look at this. This is the
Doomsday. Yeah, Carlton.
Yeah,
Charlton.
The Doom. Yeah, this was Charlton, but now it's coming out from Fantagraphics. So it looks like they're compiling. And I remember he did Yeah, well, he did that robot guy. What was his name? Not Rom or
Oh
something.
yeah.
Yeah, and so this may be compiling that, or it may be some other stuff. It says featuring class. Oh, ROG 2000, right?
Yep, yep.
And 2000 seems so far away. That this was like 1970, like 4 or 5 or something, right before he got to Marvel. I don't know why I got this. Dynamite Comics, Jennifer Blood. I guess the price was right. I Jennifer Blood. I'm not sure too much about. I think this might be like a horror thing. But I know I
Well,
got
we
this.
remember the Swords of Sorrow. That whole
Yeah,
you got
yeah, right.
yourself into. That was
Yep,
like episode 14 of Comics That Influence. And
right.
yeah,
I bought a run of those.
that was a very thoroughly confusing story.
Right. They were kind of mashing together female heroes from different eras. I think why I picked up Jennifer Blood here is because it's women in prison, and I'm doing a comic
Ah.
that has women in prison. But this looks more like Orange is the New Black than 1970s women in prison, right? These are not very like revealing, the orange costume or whatever. Um, I didn't even know I got this. Well, I don't even know what this is doing here, but I got a copy of Blackwood, um, from Dark Horse, and this just looks like a comic. I don't know. I won't spend too much time on that. Um, and then I got Dominion by Masamune Shiro, published by Eclipse. Looks like it was brought over from Japan. Studio Proteus. I think they were doing lots of translations, and this looks like a good Japanese comic. And it looks look how off color the insides are. Right, the paper stock. I'm thinking this is 1990. So, folks, this is what happens to your paper. It's not a bad thing. I love this. It just turns kind of like eggshell or cream color. It's like yellowish here, right? And it's like more reddish in here, but it's just like oxidizing. This was not kept in a bag, and this is what happens. So, exhaustively, that finishes my haul for the Mid Hudson Comic Con. And in November 18th, if I drive up to Saratoga, I think that's a 3-hour drive. But that's a really big con. I could just as easily find some bargoons like those and be right back up here and not be able to draw here. So I'm
Yeah.
killing myself. But the thing is, Kurt, when I buy these comics 2 for $1, I can sell them later for more. And I'm going to be doing my whatnots at some point, and those might get $3-4 a piece. Who knows? If you buy right, you can sell and make a profit. That's not what I do for a living, but I am raising money for to pay for an artist at some point for a comic called B Movie She Devils, and I've been eBaying all summer. I can report to you that I just got a bid this morning on an archive of Fat Boys stuff. I have 2 LPs from the Fat Boys
Fat
plus.
boys.
Yeah, they're down by law. Oh. um so I have a press kit from the Fat Boys, and somebody just bid $50 on it. I only had it up there for $29.99, and so that's gonna sell. And it has all of their it's all the Xeroxes of all their articles, and it has some press releases and stuff. But we got us a real rap collector, and I've been selling everything like sheet music, biker magazines, you name it, and I've been eBaying it all off. Any kind of tchotchkes and knickknacks, and I'm putting all that money into a fund. And I've already sold about $1,700 worth of stuff, and once you take away the eBay fees and um, the shipping, it's easily over $1,000. So we are saving up money, and we will be able to hire an artist at some point when we're ready to get off the ground with our other series that I'm not drawing but writing. And depending who we get and how it all works out. I don't know. You might be up for the inking, right? If possible, and
Yeah, yeah.
maybe not. If we find a a penciler slash inker, that might be quicker. But some other things are in the works here, and
Well, as we've noticed in your halls, this one even specifically, you know, rushing things out is not the best approach. Dashing it out and getting it out there is not going to win fans because it's really going to create a sense of subpar. And with
you're going to be in
all
the
of the
dollar bin. You'll end
or
up in the dollar bin or half a
yeah,
dollar bin.
and
Yeah.
we're already talking about such an immense amount of competition out there. So if visually, when people are swiping through whatever formatted, social media that they are, and you're using to help promote you, and your stuff looks dashed out, and like everybody else's, there's nothing stopping anybody to take another couple minutes, to take that gander and then maybe take that next step, which would be simply following you. We always hope and think that people are going to immediately do an impulse buy, but the real truth about advertising is that you get them usually on the third or fourth pass, and so you got to really be doing something every time they're passing you that makes them then
Yeah.
go, ooh, you know what? I think I'm ready to finally pull the trigger and get a copy of this, or fund the Kickstarter, or whatever it is that you're trying to do to get your stuff out there. So, we
Well,
cross that road. We'll get those things figured out. Who's going to do
yeah,
what?
there's always another convention, another convention. It looks like the convention scene is pretty healthy, and people are out there looking for, nice stuff to buy. Sometimes they like to go to a table and talk to an artist, if they support the arts. Sometimes, they're just like mercenary collectors looking, to buy something that's going to appreciate, that they can just put away for 10, 20 years and then pull it back out. Look, I got number one of this thing, and it actually ended up being popular. And um, and there's a lot of speculation, and then there's a lot of people that they buy something because they want to read it. There's a lot of people that buy something because they want to. They're collectors, and they're hoping to build a valuable collection in the future. And there's some people that buy because they're industry people, and like me. When I buy something, it's like I recognize quality, and I want to not only read it, but I want to use it as a reference. I'm saying, oh, this one's about women in prison. I can, maybe this will give me some ideas and spark some ideas. And if the price is right, it's great. I buy comics for $5. I don't buy comics for 10, $20 too much, but I have recently. I would buy like Giant Size Master of Kung Fu for $10. But yeah, the same thing, and the same thing goes for records. Last week we didn't have a show, and I wanted to show Kurt some interesting vinyl that I came across, and this is what I'll send you these photos so that you can post them, but this will just like help you index it. This is what my table looked like, and I have about 15 crates of records that I sell with my friend, and we have posters. I have all my band posters and all my art, but we picked up these comics here. Check this out. You got these. This was, I thought this was World's Finest, but it's not. This is like some Christmas comic with Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. Looked like circa late 70s, early 80s. Put out on Peter Pan Records. The plastic is kind of in the way there, but you never want to take off the plastic if it's sealed. I just lost my there. Here's a Batman comic, Batman record with Robin. I think this is Neil Adams. I'm not sure. This could be Dick Giordano art, but this is coming out under Peter Pan. And when you drop the needle on these, it's like they're. I think they're like radio. They're like, I don't know, modern radio stories. They're reading a comic. Um, we can then look at this one here. You got Superman, and again, I think this is Neil Adams art. these covers are great, and these records are sealed, so we're not going to be opening them. We're just going to be selling them for more. Um, but this has The Mystery of the Mad Minnows, P.O. Box 65, Weatherspoon's Catalyst, and Alien Creatures. So they have multiple tracks. And, Kurt, this is something that people are doing. There's a lot of motion comics online now where people are just turning the pages and they're acting it. The motion comics are like zoom in, zoom out, and pan.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's also like dramatic reads, right? Which is something we might want to do if we find like somebody with a good voice and wants to do dramatic reads of comics and just post that online. That could be fun too.
Sure.
Here I found the Jetsons, the first family on the moon. Um, so this was weird, and you wonder what this audio is all like. Is this just like 23 minutes on each side of George and Jetson, and what's happening? Like, I'm curious, is it like, well, Elmo's lost? Here's another Batman. This one features the Riddler, Catwoman, and the Joker. And I'm this looks like Neil Adams to me. I keep saying this art is Neil Adams, but it looks like there might be other hands on it.
Yeah, I would assume they would take something and then somebody would just take it to a more production level,
Right,
for
right.
press, the print.
Yeah, I mean, and that. Oh, and then this was the last one. So we have Barbie Country Favorites. My pal bought this for $5. It was on Kid Records. It has a little bit of ring wear, so it's not the greatest condition. But Barbie is so hot right now. All we did, we stuck it into our stock, and we put a price tag of $20 on it, and we sold it the same day. So here's the back
Damn.
cover. Here's the back cover, and this is great stuff. This is Barbie DJing at a party, and people are just so into it right now. And so you no accounting for taste, but those were some records that had comic covers or cartoon covers that I wanted to share with the audience, because once a year I do the WFMU Record Fair, and it's mostly a music thing, but there were some creatives there. There was some people that are making like handmade painted shirts. There was some people selling zines there, music zines. Somebody had Patty Smith's first photography zine there for a lot of money. There was a lot of stuff like that. So there's a lot of different channels to for creativity out in the world. But how we doing on time, Kurt?
We're doing good, and I have something to share.
All right, finally.
So yesterday, I was able to go out and do another life drawing session.
Oh yeah, I did some of
So
that.
these are my 10-minute. These are 10 1-minute warm up poses. So I just use one page and basically just making mark, warming up, finding marks. I'll smudge. I'll even do a session or two where I'm using my eraser. One of the things I love is I get these, like, they're almost like they were called China markers, where you pull back, a layer, to quote unquote sharpen it. But I have these. I usually buy these by the dozen because I just like raining. So this was at the Delaware Contemporary Art Center in Wilmington, Delaware, and a nice Saturday, 2 hours, $10. You can't beat it. And I got some good stuff done. This actually ended up being, I think this was a 5-minute pose. And this was absolutely my favorite, just because of the way everything happened and fell together. It was that kind of like, I knew what I wanted to capture. I let go. 5 minutes later, there it is. So I cannot stress enough, if you're drawing comics and there are humanoid figures in them, and you really want some kind of feeling in their movement and their posture and stuff, don't go to a life drawing class to try and make art. Use it just for the power of observation, especially since the individual has no clothes on. So you're watching the anatomical sense of it. This individual was probably in his 60s,
Uh-huh.
And so he was very fit. He had a very nice muscle tone, but more importantly, you could see his structure. And it's just, I've worked with his name is Jerry, before, at sessions, and he is just great. Today his prop was a baseball bat, so he just has that is something. So once again, we're talking about just observation. When you make all these marks repetitively over and over and over again through life drawing, you're not trying to make art. You're putting that into your subconscious, and your subconscious will be able to take over at times and make the marks for you, if you will.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good way of thinking about it. Is like it's like you're creating the muscle memory.
yep,
Um,
yep. And
and
then
I
here's
was doing a little life drawing yesterday myself. Oh, that's a good one.
yeah, yeah. So,
Um, I was doing a little life drawing myself yesterday, and I was at High School of Art and Design. They were
oh
teaching
wow,
kids,
cool.
and so I just kind of like I was just sitting in the back and I did it. And they announced, well, this was just a hand study that I did on the way there on the train, but
Nice,
there
nice, Jay.
there um there's a website, if and Kurt's gonna flash it on the screen. It's called
Flash.
lineofaction.com. And I want
Oh,
Kurt to check
that's
it out.
nice. All right.
It's very good website, because it gives you gesture poses, and you could put in a setting of, like, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, or a minute. And like Kurt says, this is just like practice, it's training, it's like so valuable. And they have clothed and unclothed. They also have animals. They have a hand and feet studies, if people want to kind of like zoom in. And yeah, this was just a student that was standing on the table, and these were like 5-minute poses. But then, of course, you go back in later and cheat and finish it up, right? She was posing with an umbrella. Here's
Well,
another
the thing
one.
is that they don't, figure drawing. You don't have to have nude models. The nude model is nice because it's a foundation, it's the fundamentals and everything. But really, you're looking observationally, just like you did with your hand when you're on the subway. You know, if you keep little sketchbooks. Oh man, I don't know. Why don't I have like that? I have like little sketchbooks that are about, I don't know, 3x4 or something like that. And
Uh-huh.
you buy them for like 3 for 10. Oh, here's one.
Yeah, I don't really like
These
the little.
like this, like
Yeah,
this. You can get
that's
like
too
these
small
like,
for me.
but you're just making the movement like with your hand and your eyes. So your eyes see something, and then you tell your hand to do something, and
Yeah,
over time it just becomes very, very fluent. When you see people and you see their work and you're blown away by their ability to draw live at like a comic book show, it's muscle memory. It's just
yeah,
doing it over and over. And anybody can do it. But one of the big
yeah.
reasons I wanted to hit this show is, as everybody knows, Jake included, I'm using a lot of gray values in my black and white comics. So inking, there's the whole line art thing, but then
Right.
there's the value that's caused by graphite. And so I did a lay in, then I smudged, then I did my erasing, and then I did freehand line with these pens here. I was just inking with them. These
Yeah.
what are they? Pilots. They're 2-sided brush pens, real nice small tip, and then a big old fat one. So was able to get that. I got a lot of oohs and ahs from my classmates. Here we got another straight on, and you can see it. I'm just trying to reiterate once again where light and dark meet, and those transitions that happen in art making. And then our last 10-minute pose, those other two poses were 20 minutes. I was able to do a portrait of Jerry. So
Yeah, they were
it is
stressing
so powerful.
yesterday, don't, like, start, you can start out drawing lines, but you keep it light and sketchy, and then you could
Mm,
even erase them with a kneaded eraser so that they're
sure.
really light, only you could see it.
Vine charcoal. Don't
And
try to
this,
make things precious. Don't try to make art. Vine charcoal is a great thing to use. Get an 18 by 24 piece a pad of paper, newsprint. Get some vine charcoal. And what'll happen is you can just draw those lines, then you can take your hand and wipe it away, and then
Right.
draw and then wipe it away. But if you end up having something, you take the drawing off, you stick it off to the side, and then at the end of class, windows open, or even outside when you're leaving, bring a fixative and hit the drying charcoals with some fixative, and keep them for further future references. But I
Yeah.
can never express how important observational drawing, not art making, drawing is to your craft, especially as a comic book artist. I get out there and do it. Everybody, I this was downtown Wilmington. I knew a couple people, but I didn't know a majority of the people there. And of course, was making introductions. And that's another great thing about going out and meeting other artists at an art center, is you
Mm-hmm.
get to meet other people who are doing their thing and talk to them and share. But yeah, I was invited to two other two other life drawing sessions. So it's great. It's a really good thing for us to do as creatives. And you're always learning.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, comics is a little bit different from life drawing. They tell you, yesterday the instructors were saying, after you lighten up your lines, you just use them as a guide, and then you want to build up contrast through tone, not through line. In real life, there are no lines, um, and so those are all good things for students to hear.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of good examples, and then they put on the website for a while, and it's um it's an interesting thing to be racing the clock, and drawing,
No
because
thinking. You're
yeah
not
it
supposed to
just
think. Thinking
yeah
destroys art. The more you think about it, the more sadder and uglier and dumber and all those things that come along, because
you
you're
overthink. Yeah,
overthinking it. Yeah. The reason most things that are powerful looking to us is because they were done in a way that was just impulsively having worked out. It's not dashed out so much. It's something that just sort of uniformly works together. It's just the way your rhythm is that day in the studio, and those pieces just come together. So
yeah.
it's a
Sometimes
very,
you got it,
very
sometimes you
powerful.
don't. You're like, oh wow,
Yeah,
that hand came out really good.
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes it feels like it's luck, like I'm just a vessel.
Yes, yes.
So you got a nice page there. I see you're going really dark in some areas too.
Yeah. Well, look what I got. I shoot. Here you go. So you introduced me to the Art Aristo black line pens.
Uh
Now
huh.
I've got white ones,
Oh,
and I just used it here on the thighs.
yeah.
So you can see how now I'm going to be able, these are really good. So they're going to be able to create a lot more white. And
Uh huh.
I have another uh, thing I'm going to be approaching with in order to bring white shapes back in, which is what I've been talking about in my process here. And you've
Yeah.
been
So you
very
got a
supportive.
real a very high contrast black and white there, and that could mean like a gloss thing or like leather or something. But then if you bring little blacks into the white and bring little whites into the black, you
Yep,
got you have a way of just like muting it, and you say until you say okay right there,
yep,
that's the stopping point.
yep, yep, yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
good
yep.
stuff.
So I'm really excited. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
we are just over the 45-minute mark. We want to keep these bite sized in episodes. And so those good people that have stayed with us for this time can get back to reading comics, making them if they do. But Jake, do you have anything on the outs for these people?
No, let's put a little note to self though. Next time we'll do a catch up on the story where we're at, where you're at, where I'm
Yes.
at.
Yeah, I'll be going to a new page.
I have this sketch that I'm working out of Mr. Ike, who's going to be a character that we are going to introduce in issue 2. So we're still thinking about the story, the plot. I know these conventions really take your mind off of the day to day comic creation, because there's so much out there to look at and see, and and impulse buy and everything, especially if the price is right. I have a comic store here in Nyack that's going out of business at the end of the month, so I'm going to
Uh
try to get in there.
oh. Uh
And
oh.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, they're called Funny Business, and they've been there for years and years and years. And it's too bad. They have a great like kind of like curation of the best comics, and they have you know what they do? They put all the indies up on the top, and they put all the Marvels and DCs down on the bottom. So it's
Oh,
if you just go in there, it's just like a lot of great eye candy. And so I'm gonna go see if there's any back issues I can. Sweep up, and I don't know why I'm even in acquisition mode because I'm so backed up. But next week, tune in. We'll have some more great covers to go through. I want to show you what I got in Ithaca, which includes a comic store up there, and then also the undergrounds I got at Angry Mom Records.
cool. All right, Jake.
So, see you next time.
See you next week.
All right, folks.